Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we are thinking about energy and intuition. Isn't this a topic that we really need to think about? And luckily, I have Colleen here who's going to help us think about this in a whole new way. So, thank you so much, Colleen, for sharing your time and your perspective. You could be doing anything right now, but you are with me. So, I appreciate this moment. So, let's just dive right in. When you hear those words, energy and intuition, what does that make you think about?
When I hear the words energy and intuition, I think about the fact that I think we all have access to our intuition and all sense energy.
Yes. I mean, we don't realize the access that we really have because we don't really think about it. You know what I mean? We don't even consider it, or it wasn't even taught to us? So for you, how did you realize that you needed to tap into this access of your intuition and energy?
Well, it's a really wild story, and it came to me like a freight train in my late 20s. During a time for any astrology fans out there, during my Saturn return, which everybody has to go through this transit in their late 20s. You can't avoid it. It's not picky and choosy. And when you hit your Saturn return, your life tends to turn upside down. And that can be in things that feel very good or bad, right? Like at the time in people's lives, um, you could be having a career meltdown. You could also be switching careers, having a baby, getting married, moving, right? So there's like a lot of like good and bad chaos and change that happens around that time in our lives. And for me, um, I was, questioning my career in fashion, questioning the relationship I was in. And then on top of all this, I ended up watching ghosts start to walk through my walls in my Brooklyn apartment. I was hearing voices, which is called clairaudience. And I was having people come up to me on the subway in New York City telling me I was a healer and my whole life was about to change.
You gotta love it when life comes and tells you your destiny without you even realizing what it is. You know what I mean? Like people do not realize like when you are meant to do something, you are meant to do it no matter what is going on, what your main agenda is, what you think you should be doing because at the end of the day, you will do what you are meant to do one way or another. It's about like how long are you going to really resist the process of achieving that moment of going into um what you're supposed to do, being that healer, being that person to help other people. So it's like, was that surreal for you when you were experiencing it all?
It was fucking awful. I was running from it. I was just like,
Oh
ghosts, like, get
no.
away from me. I was raised in a Midwest, strict Irish Catholic household. This was not part of my curriculum. Growing up, I didn't have words for whatever this was. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, my career and my boyfriend situation aren't great right now. And now I'm crazy. Like this is the last thing I need right now. So as they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will show. Um, I ended up in a psychic's office. This is another long story that told me I was psychic. And he's like, are all these things happening? And he had no knowledge about what was going on in my life. And I said, well, yeah. And he's like, yeah, you're psychic. You need to read these books. You need to meditate. You need to get a mentor. And by the way, you're going to eventually leave fashion, leave New York, and move to California. And like any New Yorker, I had been there probably, 15 years. I was like, over my dead body, am I leaving New York City? But here we are. I did leave fashion and New York, and I do live in California. So
I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes like I said earlier, you can't avoid it. I mean, yes, that first time going through it, it feels surreal. Like it feels like, am I going crazy? Nobody sees this. Like I see it, but you don't see it. Like, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you have to double check. Like I
I
bet you had
did.
those moments where it's like, can you see this? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? You know what I mean? Because it's so surreal. Like you realize like it's happening in real time. Like what you see in front of you is really happening in front of you. Like I know. I mean, I know what you mean because I have those type of abilities and I have that type of understanding. So for you to say this to me, I bet you're like, why isn't she shocked? Why isn't she reacting like all these other people that I tell my story to? And they're just like, oh my God. Like, no, it's not an oh my God for me. It's like a, okay, cool, welcome. You know what I mean? Welcome to this
Yeah.
side of understanding that there is more on this plane than what people can actually see. So it's like, why do you think people reject um the whole process of tapping into their energy and their intuition?
I think
And
people reject,
go
sorry.
ahead. No, 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 go ahead. I
I
was
I think people reject the process of tapping into their intuition because of how anything in that arena has been PR'd in the last 500 years.
It's like a taboo.
Absolutely. It's a huge taboo, or people don't take people seriously that do that type of work, or they're pinpointed as crazy or weird out there. And we all know, like, the government works with psychics when they need to do remote viewing or find somebody. Like, that's a known fact.
Yeah.
So I was like, well,
Yeah. I mean, and now it's something that you have to embody and embrace. So it's like, how exactly are you now embracing this new found piece of who you are?
well, how I'm embracing this newfound piece of who I am, which this that happened to me about 20 years ago. Um, I went down the mystical rabbit hole and started studying, and I did it in silence for about 7 years. Not the guy I was dating didn't even know, because at the time, right, this is like pre TikTok, pre Instagram, Facebook's barely there. There's no social media. Google's different, right? Like, we didn't have all these resources in that way. So you couldn't go on Google and look for like Reiki master training or crystals expert or anything you're looking for in that field. Sound healing, like none of this existed in that way. So I ended up traveling all over the world and studying old school, with a lot of teachers and getting educated about this. And I've studied several lineages of shamanism, including the one where my heritage comes from. Also became a Reiki master, wrote a book on crystals, mediumship, channeling, tarot, crystals, astrology. I have a love for learning and I'm very curious. So I've just jumped down a lot of rabbit holes and hopped out on the other end. And those are all tools that I use when I need to as style rituals.
Okay, okay. So do you feel like you are finally aligned, or do you feel like there's still more to discover?
I think there's always more to discover. I will never stop learning. I'm always in a class. And I've noticed that after 20 years of studying this and 10 years of doing this professionally, that something that really lights me up is to see how everyone does it differently. I love watching how people pick tarot cards, for example, or do tarot spreads, because everyone has there's the traditional ways they teach people to do it, and then there's all the different ways that people shuffle and people choose and people lay them on the table, and everyone has their own flavor to it. And I found that really interesting. And after studying many lineages and modalities, I was like, oh, there's always a crystal involved, right? Everyone uses crystals differently, but there's always crystals present. And I found that really exciting and would just make me very curious to learn more.
Oh, absolutely. I think that is something that people do not realize. There's a lot that people do not realize when it comes to this. There's a lot, and I believe that you only touched the surface. You have not even You have not even gotten to the deepness of what it is. And and I'm glad that you have that mind of curiosity because there's a lot for you to still learn along the way. And as long as you position your spirit and your mind to discern what the knowledge that's coming your way, because that's the biggest thing is that you need to have discernment when it comes to this, because if you don't have the discernment, you can be led astray and led down a path that you really don't want to go down with. I'm just saying. So it is good to know that you have that spirit of curiosity, because that spirit of curiosity will allow you to obtain so much more than what you already have. So much more. I mean, you think you have a lot now? Oh, honey, there's more to it. You know what I mean? There's really more to it. So, I mean, for those people who are listening and they are truly intrigued, which one do you think is more important, energy or intuition, or are they both kind of the same in your opinion?
Ugh. I mean, energy is a word you can use in so many ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Energy turns the lights on in the room, runs our cars, and also we can feel energetic vibes, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think that energy covers a wide umbrella of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Intuition is, how we're taking things in mentally, physically, emotionally, as a clairsentient, clairaudient, clairvoyant, claircognizant. So I think they need to dance together, right? Because someone that's intuitive will tap into someone's energy. So they work together.
Oh, absolutely. It's like destiny and fate. They hold hand in hands. You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
you cannot avoid destiny and fate because it will happen one way or another. You know what I mean? They're best friends. So
It's coming
when
for you.
Exactly. It's most definitely coming for you. So I love the fact that the way that you said it, because people do not realize like that's how energy and intuition is. They're hand in hand. They're right together. You may call it potato potatoes, but at the end of the day, it has the same type of focus of where it's leading you, where it's helping you understand life differently, understand people differently, you know what I mean, connect with others in a different type of way where they feel seen, they feel valued. I mean, I am pretty sure that you helped somebody in a way that they didn't even realize you spoken truths that they've been hiding in their hearts. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't realize when you have this type of understanding and this gift, this it's a true gift. And I don't want people to be afraid of this or push it away because it's like it's natural. You know what I mean? This is something very natural. And unless you don't have any gifts and you force it, then that's when it becomes really bad and you shouldn't be doing it. But if it's naturally in you and you have these gifts and you go down this rabbit hole of discovery, then you truly do become something greater than what you even are. So it really is an amazing process because once you start discovering it, it's like, wow, what else is possible for me? So it's like for you, what advice can you give somebody who thinks they have gifts but are unsure of it?
The advice I could give to someone that may think they have gifts is to just get curious and to try and start to notice how you're receiving information. For example, if you're clairaudient, you are hearing voices. If you're clairsentient, you're the empath, right? You have the feels, like you feel energy off someone, you feel things in a room that you it's not visual, right? Like the energy might feel off in there, but like it's not like someone's fighting or anything. It's perfectly normal in the room, but you're like, ooh, I don't like how it feels in here, right?
Yeah.
Something's going on. Claircognizant is when you just have this knowing that comes out of nowhere, and I think that's a really hard one to wrap your head around of all the clairs because you don't have any, let's just say, proof for yourself. For example, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you shook hands with someone and got this like lightning bolt that shot up your body, like you had a physical reaction, there's that to hold on to. Or let's say you have a premonition dream, which falls into the category of clairvoyance. You had that, and you see that person the next day, right? Or you get a message and then something happens exactly how the dream told you. You have that dream proof, right? But the claircognizant piece there's nothing to hold on to, right? It's just like a little lightning bolt comes down through your brain, and all of a sudden you know this thing. So um I think to sense into how you're receiving information is incredibly important. And then we are lucky where we are at this time in the world because we can Google all this stuff and we can see other people that are doing this with their businesses, take an online class. Like there's so much space to get curious now that for some reason, if you're just like, wow, I'm so into breath work or sound healing or meditation or shamanism or crystals or tarot or astrology or anything else they haven't named because there's so many more practices that go ahead and get curious and take a class, take a 1 day class in something. And I would say I think the other wonderful thing that we're seeing happening so much more now is that people are taking whatever intuitive skills they have and that they develop, and they're putting that into where they already are, right? So they
Mm.
don't have to like leave and open this only intuitive based business, right? You're seeing Western therapists that are using Eastern modalities in their practices. Or my friend runs a business called Crownwork. She's been a hairstylist for 25 years, and she brings sound healing and cord cutting and all this ritual work into what she does with her clients. Or we have other people that are mixing and matching things like think about someone that is a personal trainer. I've seen them put, ancient breathwork practices with their clients before they actually start the routine and after they finish, or meditation work. So I think it is really important that whatever you learn, see how that kind of like filters into your life,
Yeah.
and let it happen.
Yeah, lean in towards it. You know what I mean? Most definitely lean
Yeah.
in towards it. And I love the one that you're talking about how when you get this knowing. Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. It's like you get this knowing and there's really no proof to the butter. Oh my goodness, girl. How
It's
many
so
times?
hard.
It is. It really is hard because that's when you make you seem crazy because it's like nobody understands, nobody knows. And it's like, where do you connect the dots? You know what I mean? Where do you officially find your proof for this reason of this knowing? And then it makes you feel like a detective because now it's like, now I need to know where this is going. Now I need to do this. Now I need to, you know what I mean? But it's okay because it's like, I just think as long as you don't make yourself feel crazy or like you're schizophrenic, then you're
Yeah.
okay. You know what I mean? Because I think it just you need to have that grounding moment. And I'm curious because I never heard of the phrase, but I probably know of what it is, but I don't know it of that phrase. So can you explain to me what exactly cord cutting is?
Sure. The practice of cord cutting, and we see this in many, many modalities all around the world. If you think about, okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're dating somebody and you date them for a really long time. You guys, your energy is naturally enmeshed, right? And especially let's say that that relationship happens to be toxic. One of those people is a narcissist. And you can feel like I just can't get away from that person. Like I'm still thinking about them, and they'll call me right away. They're infiltrating my dreams. I keep finding I thought I got all their stuff out of my house, and I keep finding these little tidbits of things. I just can't get them out of my head. I can't get away from them. I keep going back,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there are many different modalities of spiritual and energetic practices that you can work with a practitioner, and you need to be involved in this work because it's your work too. You're there to do the heavy lifting. The practitioner is just there to be your guide of actually energetically, right? These things that we can't see, cut these cords. If you think about it like two people, and there's kind of like a vine growing between the two of them, right? You want to chop that. So there's practitioners that can help you energetically do that. Sometimes we go into talk about what was going on in a past life with this person that you're still carrying forward. There's many modalities that they'll do cord cutting with candles between two people. So there's like 100 different ways to do that, but it's basically you have energy between you and something that you have to cut because it's not healthy for you and possibly also that other person too. Like, say you're in a relationship and it wasn't bad. It's just, the two of you have run its course. It's been 30 years. You both need to go in a different direction, and you also are having trouble leaving each other, but you're both like, I got to get out of here. You still want to cut the cord so that both people can go on respectfully, like with their lives and the directions that they need to go to. I'd also even say that with like houses, with jobs, friends, right? This isn't just about romantic relationships. And even the biggie, in a way, cutting cords with your past self or your past life self.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I have a different way of seeing it, but yes, I like the way that you broke it down because it makes people really understand what's going on within themselves and maybe give them reason why they feel so attached to something or some place, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it makes people it gives it really reason why spirits can attach themselves to an object, you know what I mean? Because they have embodied, they have attached themselves where now they have that cord where even after death, they still are
Yeah.
attached to that doll or to that necklace or to that chair. You know what I mean? That's the
Yeah.
reason why you can walk into an antique store and be like, ugh, it feels uncomfortable because there's still so many things that are attached to
Totally.
these items. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense how people can attach themselves to these objects because I remember one time when I was really, really young, really, really young. I was like probably like 12, 13 years old. And my sister, she ended up going to a rumor sale and she bought like some children's stuff because, she was expecting at the time.
Yeah.
And she buys a few things and she goes home and she doesn't think anything of it, but then she starts having these hauntings and all these other things in the house. So me and my mom, we go over there and we ended up noticing like there's a woman that's attached to this to this bear that she had prepared for her child, but she lost her child, and because of that, she still hold on to that bear. And when I was young, I was so immature. I didn't even know what I was really doing or understanding. My mom didn't really explain it to me to that essence. She just wanted to see what would happen if I was in that situation because she knew I had these natural abilities.
Yeah.
So I like kind of mock the spirit. I'm just so you know what I mean. And that's something I don't recommend anyone doing. You know what I
Ever.
mean? Ever, ever. So I low key mocked her. I was young. I was immature. So when I did that, like I literally could feel her hands wanting to choke me. You know what I mean? Like that energy, the
I
pressure,
do.
all of that. Like you know what I mean? It's a real thing. So it's just like I had to end up rebuking her and leaving the situation. And my mom was able to clearing it and was able to cut that cord and she was able to find her peace. But my sister ended up unfortunately losing her child. But that was the other medical issues that happened. But it just shows that it's a real thing. You know what I mean? Like we really do have to respect the entities that do attach themselves to these things because they need that closure. You know what I mean? They need that peace of mind as well. So it's a real thing. So thank you for explaining that because I think it also allows other people to put this into perspective and consider, huh, what am I attaching myself to? Where is my heart really leading me to? You know what I mean? What natural gifts do I have? Or, you know what I mean? What are some knowings that I just know, but I just can't figure out what? I mean, I think this conversation really helps bring people into that alignment that like you are okay. You are not crazy. And just because the world doesn't understand what's going on with you doesn't mean that you are not perfect as you are. And I think, like you said, it's just finding on that understanding and leaning towards it and go down those rabbit holes, have that spirit of curiosity is truly something that people can embody because that curiosity will allow them to realize like that's not all the only gifts that you have. You know what I mean? You have more than one. And that's the thing people don't realize. Like when you have one gift, you actually have more than that. You know what I mean? There's more abilities, there's more gifts that you may have, but you don't know it until you allow yourself yourself to really accept the fact that you already have this gift. So once you have that gift and you accept it, you realize, okay, I now have all of this understanding and now I have all this opportunities and abilities or whatever it may be. So it's just, it really is an interesting thing to go down to once you go down those rabbit holes. But time is catching up to us, and I'm sad because I could keep talking to you forever on end,
I
Colleen.
could too.
But I mean, our spirits alone can probably have a conversation without us actually saying any words. But what can be some lasting words of wisdom that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
I think my words of wisdom would be really, as we've been saying, just to be curious and don't write this off as nothing.
Mm,
If you do feel highly intuitive and what Mitzi and I are talking about, like there's some kernel of this that resonates with you, or you're like, oh, I've experienced something like that, to be open to that coming and speaking to you more.
yeah,
And
most definitely.
don't write it off that you're crazy. Or I hear people, oh, that happens to everybody. And like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, it
Or
really
people,
doesn't.
then there's, you know what I'm really going to say too, the amount of times I've had clients, because I actually have ended up, not on purpose, in my practice, I see a lot of like budding healers just getting on their journey. People are so afraid to
Yes,
interact with whatever this is. And I would tell people, like,
yes.
don't be afraid. The fear is disempowering you.
Yeah, exactly. And people don't realize fear actually feeds into the negative. You know, and it feeds into demons,
Yeah,
feeds into the ones that the evil beings that are trying to manipulate it to be something that it's not. So it's just like if you have that awareness, you have that understanding, you have that discernment, remove your fear. You know what I mean? You need to automatically need to remove that fear or just don't lean into it to the point where it chokes you out and it makes you not even try to discover what's really happening. You know what I mean? Like fear is good to a certain degree, but don't let it go past that degree because once it does, you will lose something that you don't want to lose. You know what I mean? So yes, I think that is truly something empowering for us all to really consider and take into consideration. And ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did and you want to know more about Colleen, or if you're just curious or you need that extra little oomph in your direction, go check out Colleen. She's more than happy to help you out where she can. You know what I mean? To provide you this understanding that you are sane, you are whole, and you are just great as you are. You know what I mean? Don't surround yourself with naysayers and the people who are trying to stick you in this stigma of schizophrenia or just a crazy person. You know what I mean? Because that's the first thing. Oh, you hear things. Oh no, you're probably schizophrenic. You know what I mean? That's the first thing any doctor is going to label you right away. Oh, you hear voices. Oh,
for
well, that's,
sure.
you know what I mean? Like, oh, well, that's a no-no. Like, so yes, try to most definitely find your people. Find Colleen, find me, whoever that you need to, that you feel that comfort. Go lean towards that. So you know what I mean? Just so that you can continue on thinking. So with that being said, bye.